little snake charmers. This is Benjamin Thompson, Lullaby. Let it ride out for a little bit and then we'll get into this podcast. And fade out. How y'all doing? How the fuck is everybody doing? Another week done, folks. Another week done. Oh, I guess I should get my show notes open here, eh? Da-da-da-da-da-da. Might actually have to turn this up a little bit. Alright. Yeah, that's way better. Could barely hear myself for a second there, folks. Had to fix some things up. Alright, let's get that set. Okay. Another week done. Another week in the book, folks. Came up with another idea for a short film. So I have two now that I'm going to be planning. And I think I know how I want to actually tie them together. I don't know. I think I have a character in mind that might be, I don't know, something new. Just something to explore at least for the short films, and who knows like what else beyond that. Either way. Oh, I guess I should say this. Welcome to Fuck a Title Show. If this is your first time, I'm your host, JuvyThaKid. Get at me on my social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, at JuvyThaKid, JuvyThaKid. Couple show notes we'll get into, as always. But other than that, right now, I don't know, folks. It's, last night, it was a strange night. More so, it was just strange because of, like, the UFC fights. Like, the co-main event, I'm not going to dive into it and everything, a whole bunch. If anybody wants to talk about it, like, personally, then we can. Like, but either way, for now, I'm just going to say the co-main event and the main event, I don't know. It was definitely weird. Not how you expect certain MMA events to go, I guess you should say. We could say. Excuse me. Other than that, the kickboxing was pretty dope. I talked about that in yesterday's video. I talked about a couple other things too, so please go check out the Saturday shorts and everything. What else, folks? I remember I had something else that I wanted to talk about, and now I can't even remember what it was. Damn it. I don't know. Fuck it. I'm getting this. Oops. Let's try not to hit the mic. God damn. I have a feeling this podcast is going to take a weird turn. I may or may not have, but definitely did, ingest one or two special cookies, you could say. You know, peanut butter cookies made with THC crystals, marijuana crystals. They're mucho bueno. Mucho bueno, folks. So, we'll start with the weekly shoutout. Weekly shoutout goes to my Backswar brother. Backswar 1246. It was his birthday on Thursday, so it just feels right to give him the shoutout for this one. Got to send out his birthday package tomorrow. I don't know. I'm not going to spoil it on here just in case he listens to it, but I think he'll like the gift, if you will. But yeah, so weekly shout out, Backswar 1246. Just he's a fucking dope dude. Ever since I got into The Walking Dead, he was somebody that had is into the comics as much as I am and watches the show as well. So it's one of those things, like, me and him talked every week about when the episodes come out, but we also talk basically every day too. So yeah, Backswar 1246 weekly shout out. I guess I'll talk about the new Spawn movie first. So Todd McFarlane, the creator of Spawn, he apparently there now. These are all rumors. I believe like the script and everything is confirmed though. Apparently there's a new script and everything for a remake of the Spawn movie, which would be dope because the first one, like I don't know, I look at it. I don't know. It's hard to. I don't know. It's kind of hard to hate on it because he didn't have like a big say in the movie. I was watching an interview where he was talking about it. He didn't really have like a big say as far as production goes, script wise and stuff like that. So this one, he sat down, wrote his own script. He wanted to go more of like the independent kind of film route, which honestly, like, I think is the best way because you got studios out here like Bloomhouse and everything like that. The ones behind like Insidious, a ton. Which other ones? I want to say they did Conjuring too. Either way, Bloomhouse Productions, like, they're one of my favorite like film companies. They always put out just like really dope horror movies, and I've even seen really dope independent horror movies on there. Why I bring up Bloomhouse for and like independent horror movies is because I believe it came out today, or at least within the past couple of days. Todd McFarlane did another interview, or I believe it was a post. I'm not 100% sure on the details, but sometimes it's not the details that matter. It's the tale, the beginning and end. So either way, there was word comes out from Todd McFarlane saying he wants the new Spawn movie to feel more like like one of the kind of like creepy low budget horror movies, and he doesn't want people to kind of like watch it and make and like it to feel like a superhero movie. He wants them to watch it and it kind of have that horror feel to it. And I think if any character could do it, it's Spawn, honestly. And if anybody could pull that off, it's Todd McFarlane. Just like even the different action figures, as far as like detail goes, as far as creativity when it comes to like the kind of dark and twisted things. I've always been a huge fan of like the McFarlane figures and everything, especially the dark carnival kind or twisted car. I can't remember what it was called. Either way, it was a bunch of like really just like horror style carnival people, and it was super super dope. I don't know. I would love to see a new Spawn movie, especially if it's done like by Todd McFarlane. Like if he has a say in it and everything, like I think that's the best way to go, you know what I mean? Like Spawn like was his creation, you know? It was and we saw what happened when it didn't work last time. Or I guess it didn't work as everybody was hoping it would, which is understandable. It's not very spawny, you could say, or spawnish. I don't know. Like you could watch it and it feels like it's like it feels like something of Spawn, but when you look at like the animated series from HBO, or even like some of the figures and stuff like that, like you can tell it definitely stands away from it a little bit. And I don't know, the script wasn't the best, but what can you do? John Leguizamo as Violator is fucking dope, and Michael Jai White as Al Simmons / Spawn. Come on now, can't hate on it. I got a figure of Al Simmons and of the graveyard scene with Spawn, so I love that movie, but I do see the flaws and everything in it. So I think I don't know. I would love to see a new one, especially like I said, if it's done with Todd McFarlane and he has that like vision and idea in his head. Because I don't know. I get what like how it goes when you have like an idea and everything for a movie or just for whatever it is. And then too many people get fucking too many cooks in the kitchen. You know what I mean? It's just fucking too many hands get all up in the salad and shit, and just the vision and everything you had in the beginning just slowly gets distorted as it goes along. I don't know. It fucking sucks sometimes. Like, sometimes it works out for the better. Sometimes it fucking blows. So, I don't know. I definitely think they should do it. Todd McFarlane, please. I know I threatened you guys over the Lucille, but I'm sure we can move past that. Just give me a fucking Spawn movie. Within, like, the next couple years, preferably. You know what they should do? Honest, fucking... They could do, like... I don't know. I think a lot of people underestimate the power of social media and YouTube and the internet. You know what I mean? Like, that's how Deadpool got made. I was one of the people that retweeted that when Ryan Reynolds put it out there and said, like, retweet this and show Fox Studios that, like people want a Deadpool movie. And I think, like, if they do that same thing with Spawn, I don't know. I think they'd be surprised about, like, the outcome and everything of it. So, I don't know. If no big studio wants to put it in theaters or some shit, just do it as a YouTube project or some shit. I don't know, man. Just do something. I need to see a horror-esque Spawn. That would just be super dope. It would make my life complete. A sip of water. Okay. And now we get into the American Gods. Because I finished the book today. And now I can officially fucking say this. Okay, American Gods is one of the best books I have ever read / listened to for those that are picky about audiobooks. Because, I don't know, I think it's one of those things, if you listen to the book and, like, everything, you still read the book, you know what I mean? You still know what's inside of it. Either way, it is one of my favorite books. It deals with certain topics that I've kind of been interested in or curious about, like, my whole life when it comes to, like, religions or gods. The characters in they're interesting. The story, honestly, like, I'm not even gonna spoil it, but I'm gonna tell you, just twists and emotionalness. Oh goodness, folks, I cannot wait to see Ian McShane as Mr. Wednesday, and I believe his name's Ricky Whittle. I don't know. He's playing Shadow. Let's look this up. Ricky Whittle. American Gods. Oh, okay. I might be right. Yep, Ricky Whittle. He's playing Shadow. Shadow Moon. I can't wait for the show. Especially with, like, them diving into, like, certain characters more. Neil Gaiman, the author, he had a big part in the show being made and everything, and supplied them with Mad Sweeney's 4,000-year history. Like, I can't wait for the show. I think if any time it's more relevant than ever, like, or it's more important for a show like this to be on TV, or however it gets presented, it is now. Like, it's going to deal with so many topics that are, like, important. Beliefs about certain things, the power of certain gods, and certain things that we put a lot of energy into. You know what I mean? It could be just, okay, for example, like, the one person is named Tech Boy, and he basically right now, like, because we're all using our computers, we're all using smartphones, we're all using some sort of technology that just continuously gives him power. You know what I mean? Like, he's the god of technology, and he's been born out of, like, our love and our quote unquote worship of these technological gadgets and everything. So it kind of goes into, it's stuff like that. It's like there's the old gods, there's the new ones, but there's also ones that, like, kind of make you yourself like question like, holy shit, like, yeah, that makes sense. Like if there's enough power and enough belief in something, then yeah, like that could definitely be a god. Uh, and it's going to deal with a lot of other things like tons of immigration stories. Those people bring it like kind of like bringing their beliefs and their gods with them. And that's also a question that I always had it like growing up, and it was so cool to see the video Neil Gaiman, American Gods Origins. It's a really really awesome video to check out on YouTube. But he says in that video, he was thinking, tons of people, immigrated and came into America and other places, but what happened? Like, did their gods come with them? And if so, like, what happened to their gods? Like, when those people leave or when those people died? Like, it's just it's such an interesting like avenue of thought to go down, and it's so cool to like my whole life be kind of like thinking about stuff like that and like wondering about stuff like that, and then you find a book that is like basically that thought in itself in a really fucking dope story though. I don't know, and it would make sense to me, you know what I mean? Like if people in Denmark and Sweden and everything like that, you know what I mean? They still, who knows, maybe they still do worship like Norse gods or whatever gods are around in that area. And maybe when they come here, they bring a love of those gods with them. You know what I mean? And it would make sense if, they loved those gods. If we'll use Odin just for example. So if they have a love for Odin, they're dedicated to him in a sense, it would make sense that like that god would follow them wherever they are. You know what I mean? Like they have the belief in them, they have the love for them, the devotion towards them. So yeah, I don't know. It definitely makes sense to me. And it's like, I don't know. It's that's a very important thing that's going on in the world now, especially with tons of different like immigration stories that we're hearing about. Some great, some fucking scary, some heartbreaking. But that's the reality of this world too. I don't know. Some gods get power from happiness and the good and the peaceful. Some gods gain power from death and chaos and the frustrations. I don't know. It's just super, super, super interesting. And I don't know. Like, I don't know. I've been saying for a while now, I guess. Like, I've talked about it on the vlogs a bit, and I mentioned it on Instagram quickly, where, I've kind of been having this debate or this conflict within myself. Growing up, church and religion wasn't like a hard-driven thing in my house. We weren't big on that, I guess you could say. So my whole life, like growing up, like learning about Egyptian gods and then Norse gods and Greek gods and all, I don't know, it just like all that made sense to me. Like, the ocean sometimes is calm, and then other days it's throwing fucking 10-foot waves and everything. And hey, Poseidon's angry. Makes sense to me. But I don't know. I think this is the conclusion I've come to, at least at this point in my life. I don't think it even matters. It doesn't matter if there's old gods or new gods right now. If there are people out in the world that still have love, or at least, whoops, lighter fell. If there's people that still have like love towards Horus and Ra and Osiris or Odin and Zeus and Poseidon, then who am I to say they're wrong? And who are the people that believe in God and Jesus are? Who are they to say that they're wrong? And vice versa, you know what I mean? Like, when it really comes down to it, it's just about the God that you love, the God that has brought you fortunes in life. And I don't mean like money and stuff like that. It means, just like good health for everybody. I mean like fortunes of all sorts. But it's one of those things, like, if that's the God that has helped them through life and has picked them up when they're down and has carried their loved ones on to Valhalla or wherever it may be, who are the people, like, who am I, the one who really doesn't know anything? You know what I mean? Like, I am far removed from a lot of this stuff. But who am I to say that, like, they're wrong or that doesn't make sense? And who are the people that worship Jesus Christ and God and everything, or Jehovah? Who are they to say that they're like those people are wrong or that doesn't make sense? Because the people from the other side who worship Zeus and Poseidon and you know what I mean, they could say the same thing. Like, well, okay, your stories don't make sense either. So I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to who is like. It just comes down to what you believe in. If that's Odin, that's Odin. If it's the universe, it's that. If your church is the land and where you worship is like the sky, so to speak, you know what I mean? Like, if just this everything around us is what you worship, then that's what you worship. That's the earth is your God. You know what I mean? That's the conclusion I've come down to. But it brings me to another point in this. Because I've been wondering about these things for too long. I need to start experiencing these things. I need to start experiencing these different religions. Just to at least bring more experience into my life, bring more knowledge into my life. It just makes sense to me, especially with this, like, I guess this journey that I've been on like my whole life, wondering about, is it Odin watching over me? Is it God? Is it aliens? Is it the universe? You know what I mean? Excuse me. I don't know. I think it's time to start just experiencing different religions. And it's not even one of those things where if at the end of it I turn around and I'm like, oh, okay, well, now I worship God. Cool. And I start discrediting everything else because I can't do that. Different things from all these other cultures and religions have brought me so much knowledge, and I'm so appreciative for that knowledge about Norse mythology, about Greek mythology, Roman mythology, we'll say Christian mythology. You know what I mean? Just all the religions of the world, ancient and modern, that I've gotten the chance to learn about. I don't know. They've all just brought me something different. But I want to start experiencing it. I know April 11th, I'm going to a Jehovah's Witness event. We'll see what that's like. I'll definitely keep you guys posted out there. But everything else, like, I want to start, I don't know if I got to start posting ads on Kijiji. For the American folks, Kijiji is like our version of Craigslist. It's such a stupid word, but whatever. It's what we use. I don't know if I gotta start putting ads out on Kijiji. I gotta start harassing people to, like, let me borrow books or something. I don't know. But it's gonna I gotta start. I don't know. That's where I'm at in this journey. I've wondered for too long. I've come to this conclusion that it really doesn't matter. It's just about who you love and who you believe in. But now I want to experience all that. It just, I don't know. It feels important to me. So, it just seems like the right thing to do. And that's what must be done. But, very interesting thing that I wanted to bring up from American Gods, and we'll close on this. Let me grab a little sip of water first. Tried to hum while I drank, so there wasn't dead air. So there was actually a part taken out of American Gods, and because the audiobook that I listened to, it was the full cast production, 10th anniversary, author's preferred text. The reason I put all that detail is just in case anybody else wanted to read the book, or if they had read it, they'll know that like the one that I've listened to varies from the one they've listened to a bit. So either way, so there was a we'll call it a deleted scene where Shadow actually meets and talks to Jesus, and it just, for him, it just didn't feel right. Like he would put it back in, he would take it out, he would put, like, it just didn't fit. It didn't seem right, and it made sense. But at least it's kind of cool because they still recorded that scene after like the audiobook and everything, so you could listen to it. So there was a line that Jesus says, and you know me. Well, some of you know me, or if you've been watching and following for a while, you may have heard it here and there. But I'm a little obsessed when it comes to patterns in life. I don't know, maybe like in all aspects of it, breaking patterns of like behavior, of history, like the way historical events every so often, like, just, it's almost like a powder keg goes off and like people need to let out aggression, and it's just, we go back to the tribal warfare. But either way, so like with me, I just love patterns, and especially when it comes to like human history and how long we've been here and everything. So Jesus says the line to Shadow, and fucking fireworks went off in my head, folks. Fireworks! You know what I'm saying? So Jesus says to Shadow, you have to be all things to all people. Pretty soon you're spread so thin that you're barely there at all. What? Let's think about this. And remember, like in the story, this comes from Jesus Christ, JC, you know, the crucified one, we should say. The one that always, for some reason, is shredded when they make statues of him in churches. Can we fucking figure out why they do that? Like, why do you put Jesus on the wall with his fucking shredded abs and his pecs that could juice an orange between them? I'm just saying. I'm sure there's like a couple reasons why like people in church have weird thoughts. You're distracted by a man in a loincloth that's fucking shredded. What are you gonna do? You know what? Back to the topic at hand here. So, like Jesus says to him, you have to be all things to all people. Pretty soon you're spread so thin that you're barely there at all. That makes so much fucking sense. And it just started clicking in my head like, oh shit. So, whereas nowadays, like if you say you believe in God or Jesus, it's accepted, or Allah, whatever it is. But if you say you believe in Odin, Zeus, like the ancient the ancient gods, then people like kind of like laugh at you. It's because for a various amount of reasons, but it also makes sense because then you're like, okay, well, Jesus is this, Jesus is that. Jesus did this or did that, and it just eventually, like, you're just like, you know what? Like, I'm kind of fucking sick of Jesus and everything. Like, I don't like, you start getting tired of it. People just don't think of you like that anymore. You're not held to the same value that you once were, and it started making me think, could this happen again? Could there be a time where there's almost, I guess you could say, an awakening of sorts, where something else rises up and Jesus becomes an old god? I don't know. I think it's an interesting thing to think about. We've had many gods throughout, history of humans on this planet. Some we still remember because of history books and textbooks. Some we remember because we grew up hearing about them. Others, we have no idea who they are. The people from that area have never heard of them because they're just too far removed now. Or it's just because times changed. And I wonder if the same thing could happen with certain religions nowadays. And I know some people will make the argument, oh, well, no, because Christianity and Catholicism and Muslim, it's all like those are too old. But who's to say that the Vikings and Norse religion and everything, those religions weren't too old? The Celtic gods and religions and beliefs, who's to say that those weren't too old of beliefs and traditions that are now by a lot forgotten? I don't know. I think it's an interesting thing to think about. And I think that's where we're going to end Lay Podcast. I don't know. Comment below, folks. That's the comment below for this week. I know I've been slacking on it, but this is the comment below. Do you think that the pattern of a new religion or a new higher power of some sort could change the way people look at Jesus and God and Jehovah, like the modern religions? Could there be a time when they become old religions, old gods? I don't know. Either way, hope y'all have had a mucho bueno weekend. Thank you for checking out the podcast, always taking the ride with me. I appreciate it. Remember, this isn't a fucking ad or anything like that, but I definitely think people could benefit from the show or even the book. And it just might be a really dope ass show to check out. American Gods, it comes out April 30th, I believe, on Stars in the US, and I think Amazon Prime Video. Or if you're savvy with other streams of shows and stuff, then you can possibly find it like that. I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying it can help. Goodness gracious. This has been Fuck a Title Show. I've been your host, JuvyThaKid. We're out.